Elon Musk's net worth is $168 billion, making him the 7th richest person in the world. I was actually curious though, how did Elon make his first million and how old was he? What we uncovered is crazy. One story involves him running a nightclub with his mother. In this video, we're going to show you exactly how he made his first million and highlight some of the key things he did to pull it off so that you can follow in his footsteps. Let's dive in. Elon was born and raised in Pretoria, South Africa. Okay, my accent's good, but he had an engineer father and a model mother. Man, that sounds great. And as a child, doctors actually thought he was partially deaf because he had a strange habit of gazing off into the distance and not responding to people calling out his name. Musk's parents had him actually undergo surgery to restore his hearing, but nothing improved. It turns out he just spent a lot of time in his head daydreaming. Musk also had a huge love for books and would read 10 hours a day. He literally ran out of books to read at the library and ended up reading the entire encyclopedia.
Part of the reason I got interested in technology, maybe the reason was video games. So, probably wouldn't have started programming if it wasn't for video games.
Nice. It's always funny, things like electronics and games are what people get into programming and changing the world. He wanted to learn how to program his own games, which led him to getting an early Commodore computer. And the time he used to devote to daydreaming and reading books, now he carried that into computer programming, completing a 6-month programming course in 3 days. So what's wild is that he grew up in South Africa, and at the age of 12, I'm trying to do a South African accent, he created and sold his own video game called Ballastar. You guys will see it on screen here, which he sold to a PC magazine for $500. This is the first product Musk ever sold at 12. The first product I ever sold was actually ninjacard.com. It was a discount card I sold to about 5 different campuses in California. Ended up making 50,000 bucks. So big thing for anyone out there, just get started selling and make things that you're excited about. All right, so 2 key takeaways that I would recommend that we can take away from Elon Musk here. Number 1, go play video games and get into tech in whatever way that makes it exciting for you. For me, in my childhood, I had 2 really cool parents. One, my stepfather was an engineer, so he brought home computers all the time, and I really got to see, wow, how many amazing things this is going to do now and in the future. The second thing that I'd recommend for every one of you is learn sales and communication skills. My biological dad was a copier salesman, so he went door to door and was like, "Hello, it's Boaz, you want the copier?" True story. And so I actually got to see him hustling and doing a lot of the sales thing. And I think either of those skills, no matter what you do in your career, are going to be extremely valuable. So one thing for you, especially if you're older and you're like, hey, I've got no good ideas, I don't know what to do, you can learn from Elon is, what did you do as a kid that you really enjoyed? Was it computers? Was it space? Was it horses? Whatever that is, maybe go and explore that as an adult and see if that's something that you can get into business about. For me, at an early age, I was doing deals on local restaurants. Guess what? I'm still doing deals on great software at AppSumo.com. So think about that just for yourself. Last bonus thing about Elon's earlier age that we were kind of talking about is that he spent a lot of years learning how to code for fun. And that's how he actually made money from it. And he's still doing that today. He's like, I want to have solar panels. I want to have solar cars. I want to go to the space. So think about things that are just fun for you to go do. And then guess what? A lot of times money will be able to follow from that. If you like Elon Musk and want to see how he's going to get to his first $1 million, use that finger and hit that like button for me. All right, so phase 2, this is now he's getting into his teenage years, or we're calling it lumbering. So after leaving South Africa in 1988, Musk actually spent time doing weird-ass jobs in Canada. These were surprising. So he tended vegetables and shoveled out grain bins at a cousin's farm. And then he even cut logs in Vancouver. So Elon actually visited an unemployment office and he said, what is the highest paying job that they had? And it turned out being a job cleaner at a boiler room of a lumber mill. So that is some of the work he ended up doing in Canada. And he was making $18 an hour wearing a hazmat suit, crawling through small spaces and shoveling residue. So 30 people actually got the same job as him. And at the end of the week, it was just Musk and 2 other men who were able to stick with it. So one thing that I have a lot of respect for him is do hard shit. So sometimes you literally need to get dirt on your face. It makes you more resilient. It gives you an appreciation for how good you actually have it when you're sitting at a computer making internet money just rain down. One of the things I always think about is do the dishes. So if you ever have dishes in your sink, just do your dishes. And that reminds me, no matter how much money you have, it kind of keeps you sharp and it keeps you saying, hey, I can do the hard work when necessary. Next up is try a bunch of different things. So Elon would have never known how much he hated lumbering had he not tried it. And maybe we would have a great lumbering mill out in Canada. But I think it's great no matter where you're at in your career, get into the buffet of work. Try all these different things out to find out what you hate and also what you really like. So for me, I worked at Macy's selling bed sheets. I didn't really like doing that. I worked at Office Max for 2 years selling electronics. That wasn't fun. I worked in summer camps for 2 years. Didn't really like that. I worked at Intel in a cubicle. That sucked too. And eventually after Facebook and Mint and Facebook games and all this other stuff, I eventually found promoting software and being an evangelist around that, I really love. What I found out though is promoting amazing software and deals on AppSumo.com and making YouTube videos is what I really love doing. Okay, so phase 3 of the intern, now it's starting to talk about how he starts getting into the real business age. So Elon and his brother would read newspapers and find interesting business people to reach out to. This is so cool. So they would take turns cold calling, "Hello, it's Elon, I would love to meet with you." And this is when he didn't have a network, just like a lot of you may be. So Peter Nicholson was the head of marketing for the Toronto Blue Jays and a top executive at a bank. It took 6 months to get on this guy's schedule, but he eventually agreed to have lunch with 2 teenagers who took a 3-hour train ride to meet him. The meeting resulted in Elon landing an internship with the bank. So something for you to think about, what is it that you really want and how persistent are you actually being to get that? When I wanted to actually make a sale with Greg Sang of tag.com, I spent 6 months. I sent him shoes, I sent him magazines, and eventually he actually became a customer of one of my earlier businesses. So for yourself, think about something you really want and just keep being persistent every week, every month until you get it. One of the key successes of entrepreneurship is the follow-up. Keep following up. So for one of the projects at the bank, he actually wrote a proposal for a bond trade he claimed would be the biggest opportunity ever, and nobody seemed to realize it. His boss actually approved the pitch, but the bank CEO rejected the proposal. Musk mentioned this in his biography that bankers are rich and dumb. And that's something he probably kept in mind when he started his finance startup X.com, which eventually became PayPal. So a few key takeaways I just want to kind of get into your brain is 1, the power of the cold call, power of the cold email, power of the sliding into the DMs nowadays. So Elon and Kimball had nothing to lose, especially you probably don't. So asking execs to lunch or anyone you want to meet, don't worry about it. So if you're scared, start small with the coffee challenge, which is you just ask for 10% off next time you buy anything. Maybe it's coffee or tea, and see what happens. Guess what? You get rejected and you move forward. So build up your ask muscle. So next up, I also don't recommend just cold calling to pick people's brains. No one wants their brain picked. But if you actually start helping people and offering them value, something they actually want, that is a better way of them actually being open to wanting to meet with you. Hey you, I'd love to build a deeper relationship with you and get to know you better, so hit that subscribe button right below and notification bell so you don't miss another one of our videos. Phase 5, his college years. So he actually went to Queen's University in Ontario and he sold computer parts, full PCs, and did tech support out of his dorm room. I think that's common with a lot of tech people. He also paid for rent in college by converting his house into a nightclub. So after he actually transferred to University of Pennsylvania in '92, they converted their fraternity house into a nightclub. It was a full-out, unlicensed speakeasy. They'd have as many as 500 people come out, charge $5, and it was an all-you-can-drink with beer and Jello shots. And Elon would actually happily run the parties because he was paying his own way through college. He could make an entire month's rent in just one night. In general though, he was actually quiet and sober, and he would be the one to talk to when the cops showed up. This is even funny. Mom, I hope you're watching this part. His mom, May, even worked the door. She was the coat checker and money taker. Mom, I think you do a really good job at that. And the fun fact is that as the cash piled up in a shoebox, she actually had a pair of scissors handy for anyone who was willing to try a funny business and steal it from her. So rule number 1, don't mess with Mama Musk or Mama Sumo. So some key takeaways about this period in his life that you guys can learn for yourself is 1, opportunity and making money is everywhere if you want it. It's right in front of you all the time. Can you tour your car? Can you rent out a spare bedroom? Can you go on Facebook Marketplace and sell some things? There is so much ways to be making money out there. You just have to get started today in doing it. Post undergrad, this is actually surprising. I didn't know this. After he went to UPenn, he went to Stanford to pursue a PhD in energy physics. A few weeks before classes started, Netscape went public with a valuation of nearly $3 billion. Musk was already aware of the business potential of the internet, but at that moment, he realized he's gonna be able to change society forever. So he ended up leaving Stanford just 2 days in. So phase 7, where he made his first million. He saw the potential that Yellow Pages was missing. I don't even know if you guys remember the Yellow Pages in 1995, and this is how we started Zip2. So he saw that they were fumbling around trying to find their pitch and buy a listing in the Yellow Pages. So his company started out as a searchable business directory so users could get door-to-door directions to businesses. Sounds like Google Maps. To get the business off the ground, the first thing Elon did was purchase a local business directory for a few $100s. So for you and any business you're starting, what is the simplest and cheapest action you could take right now that will produce a return? So for Elon, he purchased that business directory. It wasn't super cheap, but it provided him essentially everything he needed to build the Zip2 website and start getting customers. So when I started AppSumo.com, I didn't hire a big ass team. I didn't spend a lot in marketing. I went and hit up one company, said, will you do a discount, which was Imgur. And then I went onto Reddit and just told people, hey, is this something that you guys want to buy? And we sold 200 of them and a business was started. Today, I know many of you may not even know what the Yellow Pages are, and it might seem obvious at time to have an online business directory, but this is 95 and the brothers actually had trouble convincing anyone to believe in their idea. And this is wild. When they actually launched the website, Musk only had $2,000 in the bank. So most of their startup costs were covered by their father, who gave him $28,000 to get it going. So these guys actually lived super cheap. They slept on futons at the office rather than renting an apartment. They showered at the YMCA a few blocks away, and they shared one computer between them. Musk programmed at night and turned the server on during the day. And Musk even convinced a startup in the office below to let them plug into their internet to save money on internet costs. So this is the stuff I love reading about, like what it actually takes to be successful. Because sometimes as you start getting money, you'll just like, oh, I'll throw money at it. But a lot of times, if you don't have resources, you have advantages, and you could be creative just like these guys were. When I actually started a lot of my other companies, I slept on couches or my aunt's basement to save money so I could work on the business. Once the website was up and running, Musk smartly hired salespeople on commission, and they went door to door in malls and shopping districts to sell sponsored listings. And slowly the money started to trickle in. So for me, same with AppSumo.com, I hired a guy named Matt to say, hey, this is going really well. Can you help me do sales? And a lot of it was on commission. He actually ended up making around $25,000 a few months into the job. So one of the things I've talked a lot about to you guys is keep your expenses low in your personal life and your business, because then you don't have to worry about making a ton of money. And that's exactly what happened with Elon and his business. So that they were able to achieve positive cash flow early on, which looked good to investors. So around 1997, Zip2 began offering a platform service to newspapers. So they were licensing their technology. They offered directories and city guides to these companies. So by 1998, almost 200 newspapers were using their platform to develop guides. So I like how you take one business and you kind of keep evolving. Like, all right, we can have a directory and that's good, but what if we actually give that directory to everyone else? So I really like his business model where it was like selling directory listings and then it was selling the technology. There's a lot of different business models out there. I worked at Mint.com, which was a free service that offered you really interesting information that had lead gen for credit cards and tax stuff. It was a win-win-win for everyone out there. So same as an interesting business model like AppSumo. We promote amazing deals for entrepreneurs just like yourself. You get a great deal, partners get money, new customers, and we make a little bit of money. Everyone wins. So for yourself, it does take time to figure out business models that really work for you and that can scale out. If you were liking to make $1 million just like Elon, you could buy my course. Just kidding, I don't have one. But leave a comment below where you're at in your business journey. I love to respond and engage with you guys. What's crazy is Elon still hasn't made any money in these years. In 96, More Davidoff Ventures invested $3 million in the company, but Musk actually had to hand over most of his shares in the role of the CEO to someone else. He was demoted to CTO, and not surprisingly, he was pissed off. But he needed the money to take Zip2 to the next level, so he did the deal. The company Zip2 actually had customers like New York Times, Pulitzer Publishing, and Hearst Corporation. So before Craigslist owned the world of classified ads, Zip2 played a big role in print publishing going digital, and the company did grow quickly. So Musk started to sour at the idea of someone else running his business. So here's some crazy stuff. In 98, the new CEO actually tried to merge with CitySearch. Those guys aren't around. And Musk actually organized a coup to have that CEO ousted and reinstate himself. The plan worked at first, but it actually backfired when Zip2's board turned around and sold the company to Compaq. Damn. I've had definitely issues. With my previous company, it was me plus 2 other founders, and I always thought of it like a 3-headed dog. We all wanted to go in our own direction, so the company went nowhere. So that's why it's been so important for me with my current business partner, Chad, that we have a lot of alignment about where the hell we're trying to go. So Zip2 deal amounted to $307 million, which is still a great payday. Musk finally became a millionaire, making $22 million. I know you might think, well, they sold for 300. He got less than 10%. So in Silicon Valley, there's dilution. So the more that you get investors, the smaller your percentage is, but hopefully it's a big pie. And honestly, $22 million is still a good payday. Elon Musk became a multi-millionaire at 27 years old. So what are some of the key things that we can actually take away from his experience? Number 1, go explore the things that interest you, maybe now or things that interested you early on. Is it video games for him, which led to programming, which led to actually creating a lot of really interesting companies? Number 2, be scrappy. I love how he threw house parties with his mom, how he saved so much money at Zip2 to actually get things going. I think a lot of us are a little bit too comfortable, including myself. So how do you create some limitations? How do you say, I need to make some money today, what can I actually do about that? And number 3, whatever experience you have in your career, if it's good or bad, how do you keep learning and using it like a ladder? All right, I learned this, now I'm gonna go here. I learned this, now I go here. And I think that's what he's done so well, taking from Zip2 to PayPal and beyond to today. And most importantly, that we can learn from Elon that you could do right now is start right now. A lot of us are saying, I need to watch the next video, I need to buy another course, I need to talk to someone, I need to read the book. You don't. You know the things that you need to be doing. And if anything, just get started today and build that momentum to making things happen. If you are not ready to take action, go get some shit done right now today. You're gonna love this video right up here, which will inspire you. I'll see you out there, and I love you. Pew, pew.